right, so I'm a Chinese Australian. So I was born in Beijing. My family moved to Australia when I was 14. I was halfway through high school with zero English. So you could imagine the first few years were rather challenging and very uncomfortable for me. And but what it really helped is to instill this belief that nothing is impossible. Something that seems so difficult and so challenging actually was fine. So if you set your mind and focus your efforts, anything's possible. I did economics and accounting at Melbourne University, and which is very common for people in my profession. And I started my career with an accounting firm, Arthur Andersen, in Melbourne as an auditor. And then I proceeded to become an internal auditor, and I joined UBS as a controller in wealth management. And after I finished my MBA, I joined EY Consulting as a management consultant. So my career journey is a little bit unusual. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I tried a variety of different roles across multiple countries. After management consulting, I moved to Japan for personal reasons, and I joined Goldman Sachs in Tokyo. And I spent the next 8 years working in various finance roles in real estate investment management. And when the opportunity came up to transfer to Singapore, I put up my hand and moved my entire function and team from Japan to Singapore. So that's how I ended up in Singapore. I've been living here for the past 10 years now. I left Goldman Sachs in 2014 and joined a private equity-owned group of companies as head of finance in APAC. And we took over all the newly purchased portfolio companies in Singapore, China, India, Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand, and Taiwan. So it was really a great opportunity to utilize all the experiences, skills I've gained along the course of my career, and to build a regional shared services center. So then, I was with them for about 6 years, and then the group of companies got taken over by Korn Ferry. So you know that they're a major recruitment and human resources consulting firm. And I took on the role to integrate the businesses into Korn Ferry Group, and to merge our portfolio entities into Korn Ferry Group entities. So that transition finished June last year, and that's when I took up the CFO role with AECO Energy. So AECO Energy specializes in providing technology solutions in the open energy markets. And we already have an operation in Australia. Now we're going to launch into Singapore markets. So that kind of summarizes how I came along and where I am now. I look back at my career, and I think there were really multiple occasions of serendipity. I took a risk multiple times to step into a new area, and it all paid off and gave me wealth of new experiences and learning in terms of career and also personal development. So, I do have the core kind of finance and accounting skills, which underpins all these roles. However, I think the diversity and the wide variety of roles is what have kept things so exciting and stimulating for me. And that's where I am in my career. I'm looking forward to learning a lot more about the electricity market, and it's about launching a brand new startup in Singapore. I've made a few consistent observations across the various industries and countries I've worked in. So I will just name the top 3 that come to mind. The first one is digitalization. I don't think any of those are a surprise to people. Really, regardless of the industry, business increasingly need to digitize all different aspects of their business processes. And what actually happens is that there's a loss in knowledge in terms of, automation actually results in loss in knowledge in terms of why those processes are there and how they're being carried out traditionally, and what's the purpose of those. And I really think people who really have a good grasp of the underlying business processes and the systems will have a real advantage, and their skill set will carry a premium. The second thing I will mention is really the cross-cultural workforce. All the businesses I worked in have staff from multiple cultures and locations, and there's really a high demand for employees who can relate to all the different cultures, who are multilingual, who really have a deep understanding of the cultures. So these are the people who can bridge communication, cultural gaps, and help the global team to collaborate and work effectively together. So I think that is a skill set that's really good, and it's increasingly how the industries and global dynamics kind of evolve. There will be increasing need for those. And then the last one is really the remote working. With COVID and the recent trend in remote working, I think the dynamics at workplace change as well. There's much higher demand for empathy because we're working from our individual homes and we feel isolated. We need that human touch. And I think social connection is becoming really important at workplace as well. And a lot of the companies struggle with maintaining the cohesive company culture. So I think those people who really have high EQ, who invest time and energy to socialize, to build personal relationships via Zoom and Microsoft Teams would have an edge because regardless of whether we deal with each other in person or online, we need to kind of feel like people are genuinely interested in us, and we enjoy spending time with them. So I think these are my three takeaways from my work experience in terms of how the changing trends might influence what sort of skill sets we need to develop. One of the things I think is along the same theme of what I talked about before is it's never too early to develop people's skills. Relationships matter at work. And one of the things I try to remind myself is that if I'm dealing with someone, maybe it's a very small task, but the things I never view that as transactional. Always think of it as a long term. So this person could be your cousin, could be your auntie, could be your niece, so that they will be in the longer term family. I think if you adopt that sort of attitude, it will really help you develop a longer term relationship. Would you say the sniding remark, if they were your relative, regardless what you think of them, you need to see them tomorrow. You need to be able to live together and work together. I think that kind of people skill is never kind of could be overemphasized. And the second thing I would say again is the soft skill side, is attitude. I think I mentioned when I was young, I got plucked out of my culture and comfort zone and put into an entirely different environment and culture. So the thing is that be flexible and don't believe things and I would address it to the women as well. Don't believe being a woman would limit your career prospects or limit your life experiences. So, be flexible, accept roles, try to gain as much exposure as possible. And the third thing is maybe more harder skills. I would say, the digitalization, which means that to be productive, to be more effective in our roles on a day-to-day basis, we need to familiarize with technology, even if we're in a non-technical role. So these could be things like the day-to-day tools, SharePoint. This could be things like Microsoft Teams, Cloud, and use all the tools to be able to schedule your tasks, to collaborate with the team, to manage your calendar, manage your time, and do not overlook kind of deadlines. So familiarize with technology, use it to the full extent to help you become more effective and productive in both life and career. the top three things which come to mind again in terms of the learnings from my career journey, I would say the first one is to find mentors throughout all stages of your life and career. For me personally, my first manager as I started my career was the one that got the entire team to go out run a 6 or 7 kilometer after work. So that's how kind of motivated me to start participating in corporate triathlons and started a lifelong pursuit of fitness. And in my last job, the global CFO has such a pragmatic and effective approach. He implemented, he brought all the portfolio companies onto the same platform, technology platform, after all the previous CFOs failed in multiple years. So I would say, look for people who you admire and who inspire you, and learn from them and copy them. And so these, not just in life, not just in work, but also in life. So this is how you can become a better version of yourself. The second one, I would say, especially for people who are still early in their careers or about to start their careers, go after life experiences as well, not just work experiences. Travel, right? Look for overseas postings, even if it creates a lot of discomfort and fear, and because things are unknown and unpredictable, there's a level of risks involved. Gain cross-cultural understanding for you to not just become an effective employee, but also to mature as a person. I think to understand the world around you, to understand how the people kind of live in other parts of the world. And this is where, you will be able to bring so much more to the table in your day-to-day work as a mature and well-rounded person. And the last one, but not the least, is lifelong learning. Keep on expanding your skill set, your mind, pick up new hobbies, expand social, professional circles. So for me personally, I picked up dragon boat and outrigger canoeing just 2 years ago when I was already in my 40s. And my club qualified for World Championships last year. And I took up a Dale Carnegie leadership course to gain better understanding of human relations and to improve my communication, public speaking, and leadership skills. So these are the things that at any point in your career, any point in life, you could learn, and you would not only enrich your life, but also make you a better, more productive employee and leader at work space as well.